Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be talking about my favourite bronzers for pale skin. Now I've got 4 bronzers which I'm going to talk about today. 2 of them are high-end and 2 of them are drugstore. So jumping into the video, the first bronzer I have to talk about is a recent discovery of mine, and this is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and this is in the original shade bronzer. They also do a light bronzer, but to my understanding, I don't actually have this, but to my understanding it's more of a warm tone bronzer, which depending on what you like you might want, but where I'm very fair, I think when I wear a warm bronzer it tends to look orangey, whereas this, just in the shade bronzer, is more of a neutral tone to it. I'm going to swatch this on the back of my hand so you can get an idea of the shade. So there's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer on the back of my hand. Obviously that's quite heavily swatched, so when you go in with your brush and you've got fair skin, you obviously use a much lighter hand. But I'd say this is suitable for anyone with very fair skin up to sort of a light skin tone, so maybe like an NC or NW25, if, just for a shade reference in MAC. I really like this bronzer because it's not a matte bronzer, but it's not a shimmery bronzer. It's just got this, like, I don't know if you can really see, but it's like a luminescence to it, so it sort of really sort of gives like a sheen to the face, which I really like. Makes you look really sun-kissed, but not orange, if that makes sense. The only thing I don't like about this bronzer is, well, 2 things. One, the packaging's a bit chunky because underneath it it's got like a useless sponge applicator which no one's going to use, and number 2, the smell. Like, I know a lot of people like the smell, it's like a coconut smell, but it's very strong and it's very artificial smelling, so me personally, I'm not a fan of strong scents, so I don't really like that. But I think where I use a light hand of it on my face, once it's on my face you can't really smell the chemically coconut smell. So I let it slide because it's an amazing bronzer for fair skin. Now this Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer is readily available in the US, but in the UK where I'm from it's a bit hard to get your hands on because you can't just wander into Boots or Superdrug and get it. But I got this on Amazon, so yeah, if you go on there you can order this, and I think they have the other shade on there as well, and also deeper shades. Moving on to the next bronzer that I'm going to talk about, this is actually a bronzer and highlighting palette from Revolution, and it's the Renaissance Glow palette. If I open it up, this is what the product looks like. So as you can see, it's a very fair bronzer and then a highlighter. I'd say the highlighters, if you're super fair, it's going to be too dark. But with me, I can get away with this when I've got a bit of a natural tan, or I'll just swatch this just so you can see. It's like a champagne-y gold. So it's too dark for me at the moment, but I can make it work at various points of the year, or if I've got fake tan on. But the main thing what we're talking about is the bronzer. Now this is like an amazing bronzer. So if I just swatch this. Now I'd say this is quite a cool / neutral bronzer. This is it here, the Revolution. Well, I guess you could use it as contour, but to be honest I use it either way, as contour, as bronzer. More often than not I use it as bronzer because I've got other contouring products that I like better. But yeah, this is just a really super fair shade, so it's really great for fair skin, and it's matte, so if you're looking for a matte bronzer. And I think this is meant to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. So if you want to buy that but you don't want to spend all that money on it because it's Charlotte Tilbury and it's very expensive, then I can't remember how much this was. I think it was about £8 from Revolution, and also you get two products. You get a highlighter and a bronzer. So yeah. Now the third bronzer I'm going to talk about today is one from Too Faced, and this is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and this is in the light medium shade, so the milk chocolate. They also do a chocolate, which is for sort of light tan skin tones, and then they do, I think it's either called deep or dark, which is more for darker skin tones, but this is for fair skin tones. And if I open it up, as you can see, it's well loved. I hit a lot of pan on it, but as you can see, it's quite a light shade bronzer. And if I swatch it next to the others that I've already swatched, so you can get a comparison, I'd say it's quite a neutral tone. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, Milk Chocolate Soleil. It's quite a neutral tone. This is also a matte bronzer, and you could use it for contour because it's not warm, but I personally prefer a much cooler contour than this. Yep, so this is another great one for fair skin. Now, the final bronzer I'm going to talk about today, I was kind of debating whether to include it in the video because it's not specifically meant for super fair skin. But I thought I'd give it an honorary mention anyway because I do personally like it. This is probably the most famous bronzer, and can you guess what it is? Hoola Benefit bronzer. This is in the original shade. Now, they do now, I think it's Hoola Light bronzer, which is in kind of like a goldy package. I've yet to try that, but to my understanding, I think that's quite warm. And as I said earlier, I don't really like a warm bronzer. So I might try it in the future, but I like this one. And I'd say this is more for sort of light skin tones, maybe leaning towards tan. It's not specifically meant for fair skin. But saying that, I think a fair person can definitely get away with this if you use a light hand with it. Now, I hear a lot of fair skin YouTubers saying, oh no, Benefit Hoola is way too dark for me. But I see them with their brushes really digging in the pan and really going for it. And that's why it's not working. You need to use a light hand with it like I do. So I literally get my brush, so like my bronzer brush, dip it in. I don't swirl my brush, I just dip it in, tap it off, and then go in. And for me, I can make it work, and I like the tone of it if you just use a very light hand. So I'm just going to swatch this. So here is Benefit Hoola bronzer, and as you can see, it's not that much darker than the other bronzers that I've already swatched. So I definitely think, as a fair person, like I said, with a light hand, it's a great bronzer. So that was my favourite bronzers for pale skin video. I hope you found it useful if you're looking for a bronzer for very fair skin. If you've got any bronzers that you love and you're very fair skinned, please leave them down below in the comments because I'd love to check out new bronzers. So thank you for watching. Bye!